This is We the Sales Engineers podcast, show 329.
Welcome to We the SEs podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramzi Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ramzi Majaba, Senior Solutions Engineer out of Ottawa, Canada. Not that the senior matters. I'm a Solutions Engineer out of Ottawa, Canada. And today we got a bunch of immigrants on the phone or on the podcast talking or speaking. I am Lebanese. My guest is, his name is Evgeni Kharam, and he is Israeli. And we both have English not as our first language. Some people, I've studied English since I was a child. Sometimes I have an accent, sometimes I don't. Depends on the day. I'll leave that to you to judge whether I do or not I have an accent. And others who come from different places in the world may or may not have an accent. And the question is that a bad thing? So I talked to Evgeni and we discussed that. This is something that he struggled throughout his career and something that he worked very hard to improve. And we talked about a lot of different things, but he will introduce himself. Suffice to say, he's been very successful as an SE, even with what he considers as an accent. So let's jump into the show, talk about the communication and overcoming what we perceive as weaknesses. Mr. Evgeni, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Very happy to connect.
Likewise. We usually spend like a few minutes before we start recording and we have a chat, but you and I literally just jumped right in. So, how are you?
I am doing really well. It's been quite a busy last few months, but good busy, as we say. A lot of happening.
Why has it been busy? What have you been doing the last few months?
The most important part that made me very busy is this, because I think we need to add, as a good son, need to build a house, put a tree, raise some kids. So I need to add to write a book. I apparently made my dad extremely happy.
So you wrote a book. For those listening, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book, yes.
And what's the title again?
The title is Architecting Success, Soft Skills in Technical Sales.
Okay.
An app to sell more. And it's a not pure cybersecurity book. It's a book about connecting to people. And there's many reasons why. But main one, because I spent a lot of time in consulting. And what I learned is it doesn't depend it's not relevant how smart we are. It's more important what do we say to people we're trying to educate and consult in the language they understand, in the metaphors they understand. This could be business, this could be simple, variety of different things. Right. And this was a big motivation. Definitely there was other factors as well, moving to remote work and many other different things.
Okay. All right, let's take a step back now that we know that you've been busy. I want to know a little bit more about you, or I want my audience to know a little bit more about you. What's your name? Who are you? What do you do? And how did you get here?
Great. I'm Evgeni Kharam. I've been in cyber for last probably like almost 25 years. I live in Canada for the last 18 years. I started my IT career in the Navy, in Israel Navy, and this involved a lot of Linux, Windows, different systems and electronics and computers as well, including understanding LAN networking cabling. Later on, actually during the Navy, I went to do MCAC 2000 training, and this put me more to understanding how everything is working. When I done with the Navy, I had a big debate what to do later on, and I think I got lucky because I joined Checkpoint as a QA analyst in Israel, and this was the beginning of my cybersecurity career. Okay. I learned a lot for 2 years about protocols, about debugging, about how firewalls are working. Really was interesting. Moved to Canada in 2006. Started to work for a company called Horjoy Group, the now called Sideris. And in Horjoy Group, I did installing firewalls for the first few years. Later on, managing the team of professional service people in network security, then endpoint security, then SIEM, a bit of cloud later on as well. And by doing that, I had this amazing opportunity to learn a lot about many, many, many other different technologies. Some of them I implemented myself. Some of them I overseed and understood how to work with them. And during these days, we used to do our own technical pre-sales
Okay.
and then deployment as well. And we're like, hey, so who's coming tomorrow? I was like, don't worry. I'm the one that told you what's going to happen, and I'm the one coming tomorrow. We were still small.
Right.
With time, of course, different it's changed, but I still did a lot of scoping with the customers. And later on, a lot of work on technical pre-sales as a VAR, not as a vendor, but it required me to work with many, many vendors. And I'm talking
So,
no, like
what is a VAR for
hundreds.
those who don't know?
Thank you. VAR is a value added reseller. V stands for value. I don't know if true anymore for many companies, but it's a different show to talk about this and probably a different book.
Yeah.
And right now, majority of the VARs became managed service providers as well.
Right.
And consulting companies, there's a lot of mishmash in the industry. But in theory and in general, a vendor will not sell you and deploy the solution by themselves in majority of the cases, especially in the past, especially when it required hardware to be shipped and firewalls to be installed. They will have VARs, value added resellers, or
Yeah.
implementation services to do the work for you. So this is what I did for quite a long time. Later on, I moved to VP of architecture and spent many years leading architecture and design in Herjavec Group. And this definitely included even more presentations, even more pitching to people and explaining what we do. And this was for professional services, for consulting, and for, excuse me, for managed services as well. The last few years in Herjavec Group, I did quite a lot of workshops where we help enterprise customers to understand their security program and evolve it. When I say we, it was usually a team of two or three, depending on the customer. I graduated about 2.5 years ago, and now I'm doing my own consulting
Okay.
on variety of customers.
So, just this is a more curiosity question from me. The Harjavec group, is that like from the guy from Shark Tank?
Yes.
I it always felt weird for me working for like a company with a guy's last name. Uh, how was it? Like, was it any different from working for any other company?
Definitely different. Robert is very driven and still very driven. So it was, people say I joined the company and I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose for the first few weeks. This is
Okay.
how it felt for 15 years. There's always something happening. There's always changes. So many people that left Herjavec Group and joined a past phase company and said, this is walk in the park. This is easy.
Yeah.
So the good part, if you type of persons that like to go fast, it's good because there's many changes. There's many different topic switching and you have opportunity to learn a lot. If you're not, it's going to be very, very hard for you. We have to give credit to Robert that he built a company by himself with people, but without external investment for almost 20 years before
Okay.
he actually had an external investment. With this, definitely, it's not an easy person to work sometimes because he has his own views and sometimes it's not easy. I learned a lot from Robert on the sales part. I learned from Robert and other sales leaders in the company about sales. So even so, I'm a technical person. I spent quite a lot of time around sales. And I can say right now, by myself a salesperson as well, because I need to sell my consulting services. I need to sell my services as well. And the
Yeah.
podcast as well.
Yeah. Um. Okay. S- Your book is about connecting, right? When like we most people go like I studied engineering specifically, so I don't have to talk to people, right? I think I told you that before. And sooner or later, I figured out that I have to talk to people. Was there like a moment where you realized like, oh, I actually have to connect with people, or was it a gradual? Like, how did you figure out that you need to actually have people around you?
So it's a bit strange for me and different for me. From early age, I had issues speaking in general. I will mumble, I will speak very fast. People will have hard time to understand me. It impacted my dating time as well. It's the teenager time when you come in a in a club and you're just trying to pick up or start with someone and people don't understand what you're saying. So it's definitely was hard. So in one point, for me, it almost become an obsession. What can I do to change the way I communicate that it's will have an impact, not work related. Now, as a second-time immigrant in Canada, and English as the third language as well, it was always hard as well. You have an accent, you need to present, you need to explain to people. So I started to work on ways to make my life easier at work because I understood very quickly if people don't understand what I'm saying, if I'm not saying what you want to hear, that I'm not able to progress at my work. So from early age at work, I realized I need to work on my communication style, on my how I present, what do I do. And one of the things I realized very quickly is if I put a lot of energy, a lot of dedication, almost like theater, but in a good way, in what I'm saying, I turn on my enthusiasm very quickly. It resonates to people. We probably heard a lot about the idea is not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right. Yep.
And it's what make people feel in the end. This
Yep.
is what I realized very quickly. And I had this repeated scenario when I come to present about architecture, about design, and I'll put my soul into the presentation. And in many cases, when I'm done, I'll be like exhausted, like a run in 5 miles. And I saw people like, oh my God, dude, if you care so much about what you're saying, it's probably freaking true. Like you cannot just make this stuff up. And I really care because I spent time to design it. I really care about what I'm doing. I wanted to do a good job. So this is came back to communication. But with time, there was multiple pillars when I learned to slow down. I
Okay.
learned to communicate better. I learned to change filler words to pauses, not to remove them because it's very hard to remove them. I learned that if I make a mistake, it's fine. Nobody gonna judge me. I just need to move on, smile and wave. I remember in the early days, like 15 years ago, maybe more, I will see someone present and they will stumble, make a mistake, laugh about it, and move on. And like, how the hell to do that? Like, it's impossible. It's embarrassing. But right now, it's totally fine. I was laughing and crying a couple of months ago when I was doing a panel moderation. And literally, the first minute of the panel, I needed to present the people at the panel, and my nose started to bleed. So I'm talking and I see my bleeding. So I'm covering my nose and I'm still there doing the presentation, the paneling. And it's like, guys, I'm sorry, my nose is bleeding. And my panelists are laughing like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this was so embarrassing. But in a way, it was embarrassing. And at the same time, it was funny because, like, okay, this is a big screw up. But
Yep.
okay, we're human beings. It's okay. We're human. It may happen to us. And I
Yeah.
do feel that people in the audience relate better if we are human beings. So yeah, I can
Yeah.
talk a lot about the progressions and multiple steps. And just to finish this part, one of the biggest step for me when I was working with a speech, no, not speech therapist, it was more about improving your speech to learn how to use your voice therapist in a way. And he told me, Evgeny, you don't need to remove your accent. I'm like, bah. He's like, no. The moment you remove your accent, you becoming another Canadian. Right now, you have your accent, you have a very low voice. People will remember who you are and remember your voice very fast. You do want to work on your pacing, you do want to work on the clarity, how you pronunciation and pronouncing stuff, but you don't need to remove your accent. And something triggered in my head like, oh my God, okay, I'm actually good as I am. There's other stuff I need to do, but this is not a bigger problem. Because many people think that, oh, if I remove the accent, if I do that, something will change. So this
Yeah.
is kind of a shorter story.
It's funny because you and I live in Canada, and the majority of people I work with have accents. They either come from India, from China, from, well, I don't know anybody who came from Israel that I work with customers. A lot of Arabs. So everybody has accents around me. So if I'm worried about me not having an accent, then why shouldn't I be worried about them not having an accent? It just doesn't make sense. Like, we all have accents in this country. Even Canadians have a boot. You work with French Canadians; they have their own accents. So worrying about my own accent, I just want them to understand me in the end. You mentioned you worked with like what voice
Voice
therapist.
therapist, yeah.
Did you do anything in between before getting to a voice therapist? Like, did you do Toastmasters?
Yes.
What did you do to work
Yes.
on your speech?
So in the earlier, when I just came to Canada, I did went to a speech therapist to remove the accent. It didn't really work well. I didn't resonate to me. Then I took some lessons from an English teacher that
Okay.
explained to me more about pitch and explained to me more about what you can do with your voice, when you can go up, when you can go down, depending if you're asking or if you're inquiring. This has really helped. Toastmasters was amazing, just phenomenal. I think Toastmaster is the best training you can do for the money, period, in my mind. Like compared to what, I don't know, $150 a year, the people there are just phenomenal. So definitely recommending. I'm not affiliated to Toastmasters,
Yeah.
but I learned a lot there. So this was another stepping stone. The moment I started to present publicly, probably around 2016, 15, a lot of self-work, a lot of recording myself and understanding what I can do better. The next level was when I started a podcast with Dimitri, the Secret Architecture podcast, and I started to listen to myself constantly. This was definitely another level, and it
That was
was
hard.
a lot outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
There was a level in between when I started to learn how to work with fear, because I do like extreme sports, and extreme sports involve a lot of fear. So I took the fear and the excitement, like, okay, I'm afraid of this public speaking, blah, whatever it is, but I'm also excited at the same time. So can we translate the fear to excitement? And if I know I'm gonna do the speech and I'm still scared, it's fine. It means I'm excited. What can I do? I can do breathing exercise. I can calm myself down. I can walk with myself. I literally will go to the washroom before a speech, sit down and do box breathing for like 3, 4 minutes to get myself into the flow. I knew it will help me because I also knew when I'm presenting, I want to pay attention to the audience and to my slides versus to pay attention how scared I am. So there was multiple things that happened to the point that I decided, okay, I want to go learn how to sing. I didn't learn really well yet. And this is where I encountered the speech therapist, and he the one that helped me a lot. I still don't know how to rap, but my voice changed, the way I speak changed, my pacing changed as well, breathing patterns change as well. There's a lot of way to kind of punctuate what you're saying, almost like a drill. When you're saying that people understand, or maybe more calm down, depend how you're talking to. All this part definitely helped with the speaking part. But then in general, I read Dale Carnegie gazillions of years ago, and he's the one that spiked my curiosity about hooks and later on reverse hook. What is the first things you said when we jump on a call? You remember?
I no, I do not remember.
You told me,
Oh,
what the fuck?
green screen.
It is my friend. You have a green screen. So
That was
what
English.
just happened? What happened? I created a reverse hook for you to ask me a question. So let's pretend I'm joining a call as a vendor or as a consulting person, and you're a customer. You're like, hey, Evgeny, what the hell you have as a green screen? Then ice is broken. We're already talking. Now I can tell you about media production. I can tell you about my podcast. I don't need to pitch you anymore. I already spike your interest. We
Yeah.
almost become buddies in the first second of the conversation.
Yeah. That's true. So basically, let's differentiate between hook and reverse hook. Hook is something
Yes,
you say to draw audience's attention. Reverse hook is something that you create so that the customer or the audience can ask you about.
yes.
Okay.
So I can put something on my background. I can wear something on myself. I have a hat, even so hat is kind of problem when on the business wise. And the hook, I can find something in your environment, something about you to find and talk more about what's happening.
Yeah.
And even so people understand these parts, they're not using them. There are many things that we can subliminally do to use them. Now you may say, but again, it's a manipulation. Like, no, it's not. Come on. When you want to date someone, don't you do some kind of research? Don't you try to understand what's happening because you want to make an impression? Is this manipulation? No, no, it's common interest. We find ways to talk to each other better.
Well, yeah, I don't know. When people talk about manipulation, I mean, the alternative is just to be boring, right? Like, we're not having being interested in someone. I mean, if you're being interested and you're just showing that you're interested, but you really don't care, whatever, you just, let's just have this conversation and I can move on with my life. Okay, there's a case for manipulation, but if we're trying to build a relationship, you can't be boring because then people will not listen to you, will walk away. So, yeah, I don't know if I see the manipulation aspect of it. I was just curious. Like, I like to say that solution engineers specifically are public askers more than they are public speakers, right? Uh, but anyway, we've been talking, and a lot of the things that you were talking about is public speaking, presenting, whatever. How does that translate to SEs specifically who are on the ground doing the job? They're not necessarily in a forum doing a presentation for 100 people, but they're in a small meeting room with 5 or 6 people.
If you can present to 100 people, you can definitely present to 5 people. Presenting to 100 people, it's in a way harder, but also different. If you present to 5 people, then you can use many of the ideas, but in a smaller room. But, not but, what you need to do is, let's try to rephrase this. If you can present to 100 people and you are calm and you're relaxed, you probably will be calm and relaxed presenting to 5 people. And if you calm and relax and you in your zone, it means you're going to have more focus point to understand the audience, to see if they're rolling their eyes, to see if they're interested, to see what's happening, to be okay with being interrupted when you present. Because when you're presenting on stage, you usually not interrupted because they expect you to talk for 25,
Yeah,
half an hour, 45 minutes. When you present to a customer, it's completely different.
yeah.
And I personally strongly disagree that nobody should interrupt you. It's really depend. You set the stage. In many cases, when I present to a customer on a call, I'll say, Mr. Customer, by the way, I already know the material. So feel free to interrupt me anytime you want. It's totally fine. But this is me. Maybe you will be different and you don't want to break the flow. And you may say, Mr. Customer, just give me 15 minutes, give me 10 minutes. Don't make it 45 minutes, please. And let me present and I may answer all your questions in the next 15 minutes. And then I'm going to answer anything you want there. Really, really up to you. But being comfortable presenting on a bigger stage definitely, in my mind, help you to deal better with a smaller audience as well.
I'm gonna push back a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
think presenting to 100 people is harder than presenting to 5. I think it's scarier, but it's if you prepare well, because you won't have those interruptions, because you won't see the audience reaction, you're just gonna do your thing and walk out. Whereas for presenting for 5 people, with the interruptions, with people calling you out on things that they don't agree with, I feel like it is harder. Uh,
I agree on the harder and scary. Yes, you know what? You're right. Harder and scarier, it is definitely different. Some example for when the COVID started and we switched to these live shows on Zoom, it was very strange to me because I look on the Zoom, there's like 250 people, but I don't see anyone. I just see my
yeah,
camera. So it's like,
yeah,
this was completely strange to me. It's like, I feel like I'm talking to a wall.
you are.
But what happened? It was extremely hard
Yeah,
for a few months until like okay apparently I can talk to a wall and it's totally fine. So
yeah,
now it became easier because I don't need to pay attention to the audience because there is no audience in my mind. I'm just presenting.
yeah.
While you go the moment we switch back to physical and now suddenly you see people like scratching on their phone, it's like
That's the
what's going
worst.
on here?
That is the worst. The worst part is seeing someone and they're not paying attention to you. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Uh, okay.
Yes.
Uh, So for this book, how long did it take you to write it?
It was interesting because it took me 8 months to kind of fungling around to create a document to pitch to different publication,
Okay.
and it didn't go anywhere. And then last year around September, I went to GOSAC in Montreal, met Tarek Hutler, that introduced me to his editor, and then from October till end of May, I guess we wrote the book. So
Okay.
I wrote the book once, then we rewrote it again because we
Okay.
redacted and removed, finished the book end of May. In May, I decided that I don't want to give it to the external editor. I want to find beta readers. And I actually was able to find about 20 people that were humble enough to read the book and provide comments. And it changed and helped a lot. Then we kind of modified some of the things in the book, including adding illustrations and graphics into the book. And the book released end of July.
Okay. And I'm looking at, so if anyone goes to Amazon, it is Architecting Success. I'll leave a link in the description below. I see like three parts. Um, Collaboration and roles, connections, and building blocks. Can you talk to me a little bit more about connections? Because the focus of the book is connections. What do you? Let's define that word, because everybody can have their own definition.
Connection, people also call rapport in some cases. It's some kind of invisible line between you and me when we connected to each other, and we having fun time speaking. Maybe best examples is you meeting somebody at an event and you talk to them for the first 2 minutes. You're like, oh, I like this person. I can talk to them. And
Okay.
we share similar stories. We're doing similar work. We having similar hobbies. We both have kids, whatever it is. But you feel some kind of you're drawn to this person and you want to talk to them. It's fun to talk to them, even so you just know them. So
Right.
this is connection. This is a way for me to establish something between us when we communicating, and it's fun. We made an impression, or it just happened by itself, but this could be also negative. Unfortunately, sometimes you meet someone and you don't like their shoes, their dress, their outfit, their smile, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter what they say, you're automatically out of there.
Yeah.
Maybe they come up and they have a t-shirt that you don't like or something saying there, because it's so many different things that potentially can push you away from the person.
Yeah.
But in other things also could be completely opposite. You can do something and start talking to a person. It's going to be amazingly, amazingly good. Now,
Okay.
the interesting part is it's not just you build a connection and you're done. You get screwed up as well. You can get out of this rapport. And people are like, oh, what just happened? Like, why? I don't feel like I don't want to talk to you anymore. So you consistently need to work on understanding how to do it. Like even like friendship, it's not like you have a friend and you don't care about your friend anymore. You're consistently doing something with the friend together because you like to doing it together. And if
Yeah.
you stop doing it together, you stop being friends. Many people connect because they play soccer together, they play volleyball together. But the moment they're not doing these activities, they're no longer
Yeah.
doing this activity.
Yeah. They grow apart.
Yeah.
Uh, so, like from a sales perspective, sometimes I have to build connections with people that I do not connect with initially. Right. Like if I'm playing soccer with someone and I build a connection, that's easy. We have something in common. But as SEs, we're mostly going into hostile territories, if you will. Like not many people want to talk to sales people specifically or sales teams. How do you start building a connection with people who don't want to build a connection with you?
There's a few things. I think it's really important to be genuine. It's really important to be yourself as much as possible and not try to fake it too much. We spoke about manipulation. Two, I fundamentally believe people want to talk about their hobbies and about what they do. Even so, there is no such opportunity. So if you can find out that the person you're talking to, I don't know, Alex, Julie, like to build ships out of wood, I I'm sure they will want to share this part. Now, you may say, but I don't care about chips in the wood. Now, the question is, do you have enough curiosity to learn what it is? Do you care? You may be never going to do this hobby. So a friend of mine, he's not actually building ships out of wood. There is no freaking way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm actually care like, hey, is it hard? Do you need special tools? What kind of tools you need? How long it takes you? Can you put this thing in the water later on? This is I care about it. This is cool. I'm not gonna do it myself. So I'm asking him all these questions, and he's like, yes, we can do that. We can do that. It takes a lot. So he's expressing, and it's fun because somebody cares about it. And I'm asking the questions that I'm I'm genuinely curious. I'm wondering about this. Even so, I know this is not a hobby that I'm probably going to be doing. I like working with woodworking, but I don't think I'm going to build small ships. I maybe build something bigger. I made a couple of paddles in my life for canoeing, for example, because I like canoeing. I may build a canoe, but not right now, maybe in 40 years. Um, so you want to see and find what pique other person, what involve other person, what would they want to talk. And you may say, yeah, but we don't have enough time on the call. It's not always easy. People may be close up. Yes, these things happen as well. If you find a close up person that doesn't have
Yeah.
anything on LinkedIn, anything online, then you basically will have to be as dry as possible. Hi, Julie. Hi, John. This is what the product does. This is all the you know, geeky information about this product. And also, in some cases, ask them, Mr. Customer, we're here for you. We can do many different things. Is there a better thing we can spend this half an hour? Can you guide us? How do you want to consume the information? Not working everywhere, especially if it's a first call out of the blue, like if you cold calling. But if you got to the point where this engineer jumps on a call and you can ask them if there's a better way for you to spend this time that you will get the information in the way you want, in many cases it's going to be golden versus just here's my presentation, here's my demo. Ask them what they want.
So this you mentioned Dale Carnegie earlier. One of his quotes from the How to Win Friends and Influence People is, "If you want to be interesting, you have to be interested." So you have to be curious about other people. I mean, if you're talking about yourself, no one is interested. But if you're asking people about themselves, everyone's interested in talking about themselves. But
Yeah.
I also want to differentiate. I mean, there's a difference between enterprise SEs and small to medium business SEs, right? Enterprise SEs will have the chance to build that relationship over time. How can small to medium business SEs get a connection quickly, although like in a few weeks they might not talk to that person ever again?
It's definitely harder because it's in and go. I do suggest you do quick research on LinkedIn, on Facebook, without being a creep. No, don't jump on a call and say, I know what you did last summer in Miami. So do that, understand some research, understand what they learned, what they did to find this quick connection if you can. In some cases, it's going to be transactional, very, very quick, as you say. And I have a feeling all these transactional small deals will go to AI in a few years,
Yep.
but it's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Like for me personally, one of the things that I like to use in my playbook is making jokes. I find that builds some form of rapport quickly.
Breaking the ice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of SEs that I've seen that I've worked with, when they jump on the call, they're so busy focusing on the technology and like what they're gonna say and what they're gonna talk about and how they're gonna close the deal. They forget that they're talking to another human being.
100%.
So,
100%. I think the biggest change that happened for the last 10 years is, without disrespecting to any of the SEs, a C is no longer a demo monkey.
hey,
They're not just there to do the demo and leave. A C is fundamentally working the deal as a salesperson. And I think a C is more important on closing the deals right now, not the closing, to move the deals to closing state than the sales, because the technology become very, very, very complex. In the same time, the procurement part, the legal part, is insanely hard as well.
yeah,
And this is where the sales, I think, accelerated lately. to actually understand when to involve legal, to have
Yeah.
all the NDA, MNDA, and all the third-party management tools we need, approvals we need. So there is definitely a big change on the market on the responsibilities between sales and sales engineering.
So, well, I would argue that it's always been SE's job to help push the deal towards the close. The problem that most SEs had is they just talked about the technology, and then the salesperson had to negotiate on price. Whereas now there's a little bit more emphasis on talking about value, so that when it's time to negotiate, there's less about price and more about solving the problem. And I think
How
that's
many
a
times
good
they
change.
see, we heard the C saying, I'm the technology guy. I'm not here for smoothing. Smoothing is the salesperson job. It's like, no, no longer anymore. No, no. You're, as you mentioned, you're a human being. You can
Yeah,
create your own relationship. You can create your own communication. Definitely, I hope you align with the salesperson. Hope
yeah.
like you're going to the same direction.
Well, I hate the word schmoozing, right? Because that sounds like manipulative. That sounds like you're, but as SEs, we can genuinely build relationships with people. Right? I'm an introvert. I have friends. I don't want more friends. But when I go and talk to customers, if I'm genuinely interested, if I ask the right questions, if I joke around with them, that's not schmoozing. That's making my life tolerable so that I can continue to work with the customers. Right?
Let me
So
ask you a
it's
question.
yep,
Did you ever became friends with some people that were your customer?
yeah, yeah. We
Did
got.
you learn something new? This could be a hobby, technology, something thinking about technology.
I've learned a lot of different things from my customers. I've become friends with them. Yes, it was not my intention, right? But you build a connection with people. You click with people. Some people you don't click. There's one customer of mine that we didn't get along. I've been working with him for almost 10 years, and it's not until like over the last year where the connection has deepened and we've become friends. But throughout those 10 years, I wasn't schmoozing with him. The reason I'm friends with him right now is because I've never lied to him and I've never tried to butter him up. I've always told him the truth, even if it was hard to say. It might take time. I'm an enterprise sales now. So it
So,
might
you
not
know,
be
it's
easy. Good.
interesting story. When I used to manage the professional service team, so not even SEs, professional service team, people that basically coming and doing work. We kind of had this lunch and learns when we spoke about how we're dealing with customers. And I told people a few things. If you're going to a customer and you're going to spend a week to do a firewall deployment or security web gateway or endpoint deployment, there is no freaking way you will able to talk about work for 5 days. So you're going to talk about kids, you're going to talk about weather, you're going to talk about camping, you're going to talk about travel. Like, open up to this. It's okay. Now, guess what happened? One, it's going to be more fun for you with the work. Two, this is very important. When something going to happen, not if, when, guess what? Now you're a bit of their friend. They're not going to just turn around and say, Evgeni messed it up. They're going to try to fix it themselves. They're going to try to learn before they call it, say, hey, there's something not working. So now you have an ally on the customer side. Nothing bad. You're just being human being. And guess what? It's totally fine to ask the customers on the second day, hey, I'm coming tomorrow in the morning. Can I bring you coffee? Or you know what coffees they bring, so you're already doing this work. Or you, and many, many good salespeople did something, I think, truly not amazing, but it's very, very smart. When we had the late night work, like, guys, I know I cannot technically help, but at least I'll come over, bring you dinner, bring you something hot, and just spend some time with you, even so I understand technologically I cannot help you. But I care about what you guys do, and I want to make sure you guys are comfortable.
Yeah. So I was talking to someone, a support manager, and they were having an outage with a big customer of theirs. And instead of standing behind his people's back and say like let's go, he went and got them lunch from the restaurant before it closed. And now his VP yelled at him, was like, "Why are you at the restaurant? Come back here." So it's it's that's funny. You said something. It's becoming a trusted advisor. You basically mentioned how and someone who just took people out to lunch became a trusted advisor can become the first point of contact. And many people hate, like, why are these guys always calling me? It's like, I love that my customers calling me because I can help them solve the problem. I don't have to do the work. I can get them someone to solve their problem, but they trust me enough because they know I'm gonna find a way to get it done. So that's a that's a credit to you, if I will. But here's another story. I once went to a customer, not for post deployment. I was in support. They had an issue, and you mentioned like you can't sit there and talk about business for 5 days. We didn't. They put me in a room and locked the room for 5 days. So I didn't talk to any of them. I was just alone in the room for 5 days. So it could happen, but I don't think that's everywhere. I'm looking at the book, and again, the the contents table, and you have something called soft skills development plan in here.
Yes,
What
same
can you
here.
tell me about this?
Definitely. So I kind of reflected on the books I read, and I finished reading the book. There's a conclusion, and that's it. I'm dry. Like what I do now. If I didn't do notes, if I didn't kind of created tasks to myself by reading or listening to the book, I'm done. And connected two things when you start a new work in cyber many times, like a CISO, for example, what does it ask you? What is your plan for the first 3 months? You're like,
Yeah.
what if I take stuff from the book and create a plan for 30, 60, 90, 120 days to help you improve your soft skills? So this is SSDP, Software Skills Development Plan. It's basically a plan that can help you accelerate with tasks, with what you can do, with ideas, with reflections, with finding a mentor on to work on your soft skills. The only issue like I have with the plan that it's not dynamic enough for me right now because
Okay.
it's basically one pane for everyone. And I'm working right now, or can I do something more dynamic? Can I come to a workshop? Can I ask you questions and create a dynamic plan for a person? It's a bit of a challenge, but something I will solve eventually. And we will able to create a plan. And also, I'm thinking about a workbook. So you can get a workbook where you can juggle stuff, almost like a journal
Right.
to help this. But people that started to work with the plan love the idea. I do think it's important to get a mentor slash accountability partner. Somebody can go and say, I did that, I did that, I did that.
Yep. Okay. Like, I'm just curious, how did you like come to that? Like, where did you were you doing these things on your own before you wrote the book?
You mean what everything in the book?
Well, no, no. Oh, obviously, you were doing whatever's in the book, but no, the SSDP, the soft skills development.
No, for me it wasn't there. It was slow progression on what I did. I learned that part. I improve my video. I have a green screen. I have a better microphone. I have a teleprompter that I think it's a big, big change. I have several
I can see
screens.
you're looking straight at the camera, which is right in front of you. So
Yes.
it's it looks nice because my camera is off to the side, and I'm doing research on this side, and sometimes my customers look at me. It's like, why are you looking there instead of here? So okay,
Yeah. I always joke around, when I'm on a call and I'm doing that, it doesn't mean I'm eating spaghetti on the right side. I'm writing notes because in a reality, in a physical review, we see I'm writing notes. So for me, it was gradually learning stuff when I encounter them or I found a problem or somebody recommended
okay,
parts or I learned it by myself or I came up with some of the ideas by myself. But the plan is SSDP, the summary. It's basically a summary of the book in a way where you can
okay,
go and implement things and learn things like, okay, what I do right now, what do I learn? I can go there and here. I also have a presentation that I'm doing, and I'm working on workshops right now for companies to
okay.
inspire them and to hope turn the curiosity light to understand that doesn't matter which sales technique you're going to use and closing technique you're going to use, you need to be a human being and you need to improve the way you connect to people.
Closing techniques suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, that's a story for a different day. Evgeny, we're almost at the end of our time, so I am curious. Is there a question you were hoping I was going to ask you, but I did not yet?
Mm, was Yes, one part that I think is important, and it came in the end of writing the book, it was originally in the book. I mentioned fear a bit because fear can be an enabler and fear can be definitely not an enabler. So I do want people to understand this part that fear is good when we know how to use it. And if you see a kitty cat, it's okay. If you see a lion, you're not afraid, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But the last part that is fundamentally important, and I think not think, we just see it so much on LinkedIn right now, burnout, 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 burnout. And somebody asked about the CISO and burnout. I kind of joke around that CISO's complaining about burnout, but if I suggest CISO to do yoga, box breathing, or have a walking meeting, they probably tell me to fly
Yeah.
a kite, because it's not something they do, many at least. And it's related to burnout and being present. So if you're an amazing human being, you are well spoken, you know how to connect to people, you have a charming personality, your technology amazing, you have an amazing office, audio, video, blah, blah, blah. But you're not present, you're not sleeping enough, you are tired, you have a headache. Many problems that indicate burnout, you're not going to be present. You're not going to be able to do your work. So there's a chapter in the book that talk about burnout, that talk about the importance of being present, importance of pushing back, importance to have mini exercise snacks, to go do push-ups between the meetings, to go do a walking meeting, to take care of yourself, that you can do the amazing work you can do.
Okay. So basically, go buy the book. There's a lot of information in there that's pretty
And it's a
good.
small book. It was designed to be a small book. You can read it in a weekend.
Okay. All right. So we'll be getting that. All right. Evgeni, final thoughts? I mean, you already gave a bit of a final thoughts, but final thoughts for the
Final
audience.
thoughts. Think about 80-20 rule. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, one step after another. But think about it. The 20% of the stuff, there's a stuff you can do that you don't used to do. And this is pushing you out of the comfort zone. And if you think about soft skills, the stuff you don't like to do, it's probably the stuff you want to do.
And that's the end of the show. I want you, if I may ask, to think about something that you perceive as a weakness. For example, I was technical for a long time, and then I was in sales for like 4 years. I am no longer as technical as I used to be. I am also in a different industry altogether than I was last year. I've been in networking for all of my life. Now I'm in disaster recovery. Is that a bad thing? Like, is it a weakness, the fact that I don't have that? Or could it be a strength? And if this is a topic that's interesting to you, let me know, because I found the fact that I'm from the outside coming in, I bring a lot of value because I see things the way our customers see things. We work with our products day in and day out. So I'm not going to go into too much details here, but I just want you to think about it. Is there a weakness or a perceived weakness that you have that could actually be a strength? And I want you to write it down, put it in the comments, share it with somebody if it's not me, and see how you can turn it into a strength. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. With that, I'm signing off.